always great to start out Monday with a little bit of motivation, inspiration, to get you through the week. And this morning we have the privilege of hosting Dr. Charles Ndifon. Did I say that correctly?
Ndifon.
Okay, Ndifon, who's the CEO, founder of Kingdom Business Institute, Kingdom Business Group. You're also the president and founder of Christ Love Ministries International in Rhode Island.
Yes.
You have many other titles, and maybe you can go ahead and share those with us as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Welcome to Kenya. I understand this is your first time in Kenya.
I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've been to many, many countries.
This will be my 88th country.
This is the 88th country you've been to.
Yes, I've been to, yes.
Wow. Also known as the Apostle of Love.
Yeah,
So
we are ministering love that heals people all over the world.
Right.
Yes.
I want to get into your background a little bit because I understand you have a background in engineering, computer science, business administration. So how
did I make a transition?
Yeah.
I think that's always a big question. Actually, I have a PhD in mechanical engineering, and then also an MBA in business, and also a degree in computer science.
Wow.
And other qualifications. Did a bit of media and television at Cornell University. And so while I was a student in the university, I had an encounter with Jesus. And my story goes like this. I was raised up in a religious home, but really didn't know Jesus personally. And but when I saw sometimes the ugly side of religion, I didn't want to have anything to do with Jesus. Actually, not with Jesus, with the church. Because I thought the church was not treating people the way people ought to be treated by Jesus. Jesus was not my problem. It was really the church. So that was my take at the time. And so I started the journey asking questions about purpose for living. And I went from one bishop to another, and each of them had an opinion. As a young man, the first thought that goes through your mind is, why the discrepancy in the same question with the same level of clergy? And after that, somehow a friend of mine had a Bible, and I was told, raised a Catholic, I didn't know anything about the Bible. I was told I wouldn't understand it. But I was shocked it was in English. And I was coming back from England, back and forth. I spoke English, pretty much more as my first language. And so when I found answers that were clear, I understood what life was about. And shortly after that, I had a hunger. I started reading the Bible. I had an encounter with Jesus that changed my whole world. What happened was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were at the campus center, and we were being sent forth. At that time, I had just finished my first degree in engineering. And so they were sending us forth to go to the world and preach the gospel. And something happened to me. Jesus appeared to me just as you were seated there. My eyes were not closed. Now, I'm a scientist. I like proof.
Right.
And, and the first thought that went through my mind was, I'm dead, and maybe I'm in heaven now. And I started confessing everything I ever did wrong. But to my shock, he looked through me. He knew everything I did wrong. He still never condemned me.
Wow.
And all he said to me is, announce the good news to others. He said, as I was with those in the past, so will I be with you. He said, if you can get the people, if the people can believe what you tell them, no sickness, no disease will be able to stand against you all the days of your life.
Wow.
And we have seen, the last 33 years, we have seen over 20 million people healed around the globe. I mean, in fact, in Denmark, as a scientist, the doctors and the government of Denmark had to actually pay the postgraduate medical students to do research about the people that were healed in Denmark. We had over 2 million people impacted alone in Denmark alone. And since then, been traveling the world. After that encounter, I went to the university teaching hospital. Everybody in the male medical ward was completely healed. Since then, we've been to over 50 hospitals, and all the people we've been to been healed instantaneously, from cancer to HIV. We've actually seen so many people raised from the dead. We've seen one meeting in Mexico City with 30,000 people. We had basically 5 that people were raised that night. It's been glorious.
Wow.
It's been amazing.
That's incredible. I mean, just hearing that, I'm thinking, is there someone who's not feeling well in this building, might need some healing? Yes, come on down to the studio.
Presence of God is here.
Yeah. So for people who haven't had that type of encounter that you had with God, how is it that you're able to explain that to someone who's a non-believer? And
Yeah, actually, I think the best thing is best experienced and explained. You know, sometimes when you have 1,000 words trying to explain a thing, miracles are really easy. We've been here in Kenya a couple of days. This is my first trip in Kenya, and we've seen tremendous miracles. There was a gentleman came all the way from, I think, up country, and completely blind. He was actually brought by his doctor, and they came to, I think, the Texas hospital, I think so. It's a German hospital for the eyes. This man was completely blind, came with a son. They spent a lot of money coming here. His doctor actually brought him here. So they heard one of the shows over the radio, and they decided to come to the meeting with the report and everything. And the man came there. As I was teaching in the morning, the man was not following my movement. That's when I knew he was blind, because I would move left to right. He just stayed straight ahead. And then, just towards the end of the meeting, I came and asked what was going on. The doctor spoke for him and said they brought him here. They spent over 100,000 shillings just coming here. And the gentleman is running out of options. So they heard about the meeting, and they came. Instantaneously, this man was healed. It was glorious. Now, there might be people today that are hurting right now. The hand of God is not sure that it can reach them. The power of God is actually present to heal. As you declare Jesus, as you talk about him, he reaches out to people, just like we are right now on the airwaves. Miracles are taking place.
Come on, Jesus. You've authored 52 books.
Correct.
You've advised world leaders.
Correct.
I mean, what is there left to do in terms of you career-wise?
Oh, well, there's a lot of work left to do. I mean, one thing is inspiring others to aspire to what inspires us. One of the things I say is nobody was designed to fail. You know, that's one of the things people have to understand. And no system ever created can make you a failure. You see, sometimes people say the system's stacked against me. I always say, listen, you can always win in life if you can follow the principles that God has set in his word. And so we have a lot of work we do every single day. We sponsor children in school around the world, and we help out in different organizations that we are affiliated with. And it's always work to do. People are always hurting, and we always reaching out.
Yeah, your wife is also involved in
She does exactly what I do.
Right.
And we've been married just the past month for 27 years.
Wow.
We got married very young. I guess we wanted to get that out of the way. So,
yeah.
But it has been very, very exciting. You know, we're doing this with my team, traveling the world, and it is very exciting to see what God is doing.
Yeah. One thing we like to talk about here, especially when we're inspiring people, is about how you position yourself for success. I know that you've talked about having a mind shift. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that, of how someone can position themselves to be able to be successful.
I believe one of the first thing you need is you need a good mentor. You need somebody. The purpose of a mentor is to save you time. I mean, your mentor basically is saving you all your discovery time. In 1 hour sitting with your mentor, you can learn 10 years of information in 1 hour. Another thing, you need people around you. You need the right atmosphere. So the atmosphere in which you are in determines what you're producing. So if you don't like what you're producing, you just change the atmosphere you're living in. That means either looking for people that actually believe in what you're doing, or you have to change the atmosphere where you are by either investing. First of all, most important thing is investing in yourself. Reading books. You might not have a mentor that's around you, but you can buy the material and make an investment first in yourself. And then people will make a withdrawal out of you. We always say this, no one was born with nothing. You were born with something. You were born with gold at your doorstep. So the first thing you have to do with that gold is you have to refine it for the world to find it. You know, so when you, just like Jesus, when he was born, he had gold brought to him. But you have to refine your own gold. That means your gifts, your talent. You have to make an investment in bringing that out. I believe one of the keys to success is simple. Finding the place of your natural brilliance. So you cannot be the master of all things. You have to be a specialist in something. I found out around the world, and even in my own life, you have to be really a specialist in something. Successful people, first thing they do is they focus on one thing and succeed at that first. and then they can branch out and then replicate the success in other areas.
Yeah.
Sometimes one of the biggest problems we find is people, we call it scatterbrain. They have too many things to do and chasing rabbits. And they find out that at the end of the day, they haven't accomplished much. If you can learn the principle of focus, you will actually accomplish more faster. And maybe add another thing too is whenever you are involved in the thing, always seeking God's priorities in your life. Setting priorities in life is very vital. And then if everything else follows with that. We have a business conference coming up here, and one of the things that we're teaching is about you can succeed without goals. I think it's a shock to most people to understand that. Every year, New Year has a New Year's resolution.
Right.
And I discovered that about 97% of the people really don't fulfill this resolution because life happens.
Yep.
And so one of the things that you do is, the reason why most goals are not accomplished is because they have no system to accomplish it. See, if you can create systems, you can accomplish any goal. See, create the systems first, and then the goals can be accomplished. And so this is one of the things we teach people. You see, everything in life is a system. Educational system, economic system. You have systems of your body. Everything you do, setting up things here is a system too. There's a way of arranging things that maximizes what you have. And I think that's where a lot of people, when they're pursuing success, they miss that. And one key thing to add is, it's important not to chase significance.
Oh, okay.
You want to chase relevance, and significance will find you. You see, our biggest problem is people want to be popular. No, just be relevant to people. You become popular. And that's really the key thing to life. You just seek relevance. Be relevant to the lives of people around you. Add something, add value to their lives, and I can assure you success will come chasing you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There might be somebody watching right now who's maybe like stuck in a job that they don't particularly care for, or they feel sort of just like, this is my life, this is what life has given me, and this is what I have to deal with. And for you to speak and say that you need to position yourself a certain way, they're like, I don't have that option.
You made a statement that said that they feel the job is their life. Now, if the job is your life, don't lose that job. Because if you lose the job, you've lost your life. But if your life is more than a job, you can quit that job today and pursue your dreams. I think one of the biggest problems is fear of either failure or success. Some people are afraid of succeeding because they don't know what to do after they become a success. It's not about being successful, it's about staying successful. And the other thing about failure can be a very good motivator too. People don't want to fail, so they keep plowing through. I believe, if you're not satisfied where you are, you have to find what you are really good at. What are you passionate about? You see, when you pursue your passion, I can assure you, you get to where you're going.
Yeah.
Most people stay in a job they hate because they just want to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Well, life is not really about paying bills, because everybody has bills to pay, except you own the electric company and you own the gas company. You have to pay a bill somewhere. So paying bills is normal. Sometimes people panic when they find that. The question is, do you have a system where that can be taken care of and you can keep building? Now, if you want, I don't recommend people just quit their job without having an idea. Today, we've gone beyond what I call the technology economy. We are in the idea economy. And so the first thing you do is, do you have an idea? Can you refine the idea? Can you find a mentor that can help you in that area? That's what I call borrowed brilliance. You see, you don't have to invent the wheel. You can innovate the wheel. Find out what people are doing and do it better than them. That's one way you can learn a lot of things. So most people are always worried about this. The first thing I say is, if you're in a job you don't like, are you making an investment in yourself for personal development? Are you reading books that's helping you? You want to be a manager? How many managerial books have you read? So you cannot just be by osmosis. You've got to make an investment in yourself, and great things will happen. Yeah.
You've been obviously based in the U.S., but also have traveled 88 countries now. What are some of the mentalities that you've seen, particularly in Africa, that we're getting things wrong?
One thing is we rely too much on the government.
Okay.
That's one thing. The government, people are relying on the government to create jobs. Governments don't create jobs. They only create an atmosphere where entrepreneurs can create the jobs. So the government has to be nice to the job creators, actually. If you want to expand your tax base, let the entrepreneurs take the risk, make an investment, and grow the business. Give them some breaks. And if you give them some good tax breaks, they will create jobs so that people, now you have a bigger tax base to draw from. And that's how a lot of successful economies are run. The other thing about the mentality sometimes in Africa, it's sometimes some people sit back, maybe people in church sometimes, they sit back and they pray and wait for things, while other people get up and take action and get results. Yesterday I was kind of trying some things. I had some CDs. I said, who will like this? Everybody wants a CD, but no one moves. Movement is a sign that you're alive.
Wow.
You've got to make some movement, and I tell you, things will keep happening. One thing, when I come to Africa, you see, there's something about time. Time is the currency of life. You negotiate your time all the time for things. And I always tell the people here, sometimes we are in a hurry to go nowhere fast.
TIA, this is Africa. That's where the saying comes from, I guess.
But the thing is, we have to change that mentality. I really don't buy the idea that Africans cannot do better, because I know we do better when we leave the shores of this country, because we adapt very quickly. People adapt very, very quickly. When I come to Africa, it seems like even those that come from the diaspora and come over here, the first thing that happens is they switch their mentality and they conform. The thing is, we shouldn't do that. We should become the ideal that others can be inspired by. Should be there ahead of time. We should be able to lead by example. The main thing I find out in Africa has always been this: lack of visionary leadership. See, if there's no vision, the people will perish. And people are lacking ideas on how to improve the lives of people around them. A successful leader is seen by how those that follow him or her are faring, basically. If they're not faring very well, I don't think your leadership is very good in any way. So for me, coming to Africa, I get inspired because I see some people pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and getting things done, regardless of all the opposition they face. Africa has the greatest potential in this day we're living in than any other time to become world leaders. And I see that when we go out of this continent, we do great things. So I'm very excited about what God's doing in Africa.
Yeah, you've advised world leaders on many occasions. What's the one thing that has surprised you about sort of their mentality and what it is that they're not getting right?
Well, the thing is, sometimes they lack the foresight. A lot of things happen in politics that are not anticipated. Some people you're depending on don't come through, Somebody said once that politics is a game of conspiracy. So for me, I'm not a politician. So when I go there, my thing is to help them understand how they can go beyond becoming visionary leaders, but becoming light to others. That means becoming the inspiration. And when I'm talking to most of them, some of them, like when I speak in the Supreme Court, I tell the people in the courts, the justices, I spoke in the Bolivian Supreme Court, and I say to them that you are the conscience of the nation. And so the poor will come to you. The system might fail them. They come seeking for justice. And if you don't give them justice, their cause is lost. I encourage them to become the conscience of the nation. And then when I speak to the presidents, my first thing is what do you see? Where do you see the people being in 5 years, or in the terms you're going to be here? What legacy do you want to leave? I remembered when the president of Nigeria invited me for the first time to come to Nigeria in 2003, Obasanjo. And he invited me. And I said to him, I said, Your Excellency, what legacy are you going to leave? I said, you'll be out of office, and are you going to be one of the folks that don't want to quit and keep staying in office, or are you going to be somebody that will be a statesman? I said, the best legacy you can leave right now, at that time Nigeria had about $30 billion in foreign debts. I said, Could your legacy be just getting the burden off the people? Maybe talk to the Paris Club and see how they can forgive the debt. That was one of his greatest accomplishments. So giving them ideas to inspire the nation. And so when I'm talking to most of the world leaders, it's just to encourage them not to give up, because there's a lot of opposition on the way to getting some things done, and having the political will sometimes to make decisions that are not popular. As a leader, you don't lead by popular opinion. You actually lead by the vision that you have for the nation.
Yeah. You're a business mogul, obviously. What are some of the mistakes you see people making when it comes to business and entrepreneurship as well? Because it's, that's not an easy thing.
I can put it in three areas.
Okay.
Hiring the wrong people, having the wrong processes, and not having the best quality products or services. And hiring the wrong people is one big mistake people make. Because somebody has a nice resume does not guarantee that they're right for the job. And the second thing is the wrong processes. That means if you don't have the right process in place, regardless of the quality of people you have, you will not produce the best product. The next thing is, what's the quality of product you're producing? Because there's always room in the market for quality. If you're the quality leader, you can actually set the price different from others. Case in point, you can talk about Apple. I mean, somebody will pay a lot of money buying an iPhone. Well, they're cheaper phones to buy, but why do people still buy an iPhone? It's because they're the quality leaders. Their designs are simple and unique. You have to differentiate yourself from others. And those are some of the ideas I think about. And one reason why most businesses fail is their inability to adapt and innovate. They get stuck in one way of doing things. And,
it's worked for all this time.
And
so
they refuse to invest in research and development and to see how much the product can change. But because they're content with what they have. If you're not changing your system and innovating, you're dying quickly. You'll be irrelevant before you know it.
Yeah, and the way the world is changing these days with technology
Rapidly.
and social media, I mean, you have to get to that point of research and development.
That's correct.
So I definitely agree with you on that. In terms of you as a business person, how is it that you manage the church and writing 52 books and traveling? I mean, what's
simple.
the balance like?
It's called systems development.
Oh, okay.
See, my doctorate was actually in operation analysis and modeling in industrial engineering.
Okay.
So you come to a place, you look at the system and see how you can improve on the system. And so most times you come to a place, it's not a matter of just doing too many things. It's prioritizing what you're doing. It's seeking what is first and what is second. So some things lead to other things. So if you can have that systemized, if you can put things in the right perspective, I can assure you, you can get a lot of things done. Now, I don't look at ministry any different from business. Jesus didn't say, this is my father's ministry. He said, my father's business. He called ministry business. That means you're supposed to be making a good profit in the sense of productivity and other things. So if you look at business as ministry as business and business as ministry, I think you have a right balance. Why? You're in business to serve people. And while serving people in ministry, you want to be successful. You want to show progress. So that is ministry and business mixed together. So, but it's very, very easy for me because I really don't think more like, I don't really consider myself a preacher. I come from a royal family. So I've grown up thinking like a king. Now, a king cares about the people around him or the people that are working for him. So the value the king has, the glory of the king are the people.
Yeah.
So when I come to a place, that's exactly what Jesus talked about, the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom. And he says, Paul said, you're my joy and my glory. If you can make the people around you successful, I think ministry works just fine.
Yeah.
And that's really what ministry is. And that's what business is too. You can't extricate ministry from business. They're basically the same.
Not many of us think of ourselves as kings or queens.
You see, the Bible is very interesting. It's a royal book. The Bible calls love the royal law. And you see, it's about the king and his family. So if you read the Bible as a religious book, you get religion out of it. If you read it as a royal book, you get kingship out of it. I think part of the problem in the church is we are experts at priesthood, not kingship. We have prayed long enough, but we fail to command. So when you command, you move things. You know, we talk about where prayer changes things. It never changes God. God is unchanging.
Oof,
Am I correct?
This morning.
You see, but the thing is, we have to come to the place where we understand that God has given this earth to us for us to replenish, to make it beautiful again. I believe the greatest service to God is to make the earth beautiful. It's not to run to heaven, but to bring heaven to men.
Wow.
I believe that's what we should do.
Yeah, that's powerful. You spoke earlier about, you know, people, that success is not the issue, it's sustaining success.
Success, correct.
So why is it that we often hear stories of people who've made it and then lost it all? You know, what keeps you in that realm of success?
You see, it's such a simple principle. What made you successful will keep you successful. The problem is once people start getting successful, they leave the basic things that work. For example, somebody starts singing in church, become successful, and then they break out into the secular world, and they forgot what gave them that opportunity. And all of a sudden, the Bible makes a statement. You think that by your own strength you've gotten this wealth. The Bible says, remember the Lord and the day that you prosper, for it is He that giveth thee the power to prosper. See, that we forget the basic things that work. If you want to sustain success, back to basics. Take care of the basic things, and the rest of them will fall in place. One thing I do is whenever we're doing things, when people count you out, you have a system that works. You can replicate it over and over again. So sustaining success, I think there are three basic things you need. Number one, always innovating. Adaptability, very important. Secondly, not being satisfied with where you are. In other words, you're grateful for where you are, but you're always learning. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And so the third thing is sharing your wisdom with others and building your posterity. In other words, building something for posterity. Help others become successful. If you want to increase what you're doing, make others around you successful, to let them do what you do, and then you have an army ready to move.
Wow.
And that's basically the meaning of the word strategy. It means gathering your army for a common cause. That's from the Greek. That's actually what it means. So when you gather your army, you can accomplish anything.
Yeah. And we don't see that very often in terms of people, you know, wanting to help others become successful. Some people get success and you say, I'm going to hoard it, and this is mine, I earned it.
That's the biggest mistake you can ever make.
Yeah.
See, you're never successful until people around you are successful.
Wow.
That's the real test of success. And same thing with test of greatness. A great person makes the least amongst them feel like they're the greatest. If you are, the real test of greatness is how do you lift those that are the least. If you can make the least feel they're powerful, you're a great person. Same thing with success. If your success cannot spread around those around you, you're not successful. For you to have a successor to your success, that means somebody else has to follow you. That's the key. So when you make people successful around you, notice any company that engages other people and makes them successful stays a long time. One of the things I find out in Africa, why the African companies sometimes don't become global players, I find out the first thing is that the way they treat the workers in the company. If your workers don't buy your product, there's a problem. Loyalty first to your workers. How do you treat them? Make them all successful. Google, everybody that started with Google, they're multi-billionaires now.
Yeah.
Because when you're succeeding, I succeed too. Your success is not predicated on my failure, except we are competitors. But we can collaborate. That's the key word. When we collaborate, we can build something better and bigger than anything else.
Yeah.
I can never do what I do without my team. I can assure you. Because without the team, you'll be doing everything. You can be the musician, you can be the one helping the people, and you can be preaching at the same time too. You need some good team around you.
Yeah. support.
That's right.
It's important. Right now in Kenya, I know you've been here a couple of days. I don't know if you're aware, but we're experiencing a fuel crisis.
Sounds like Nigeria.
And, you know, people have just been really, I guess emotions have been high about this issue of the government increasing the VAT on fuel. And, you know, how do we deal with that?
First of all, why are they increasing the VAT on that? Is it to increase basically it's called taxation.
Right.
It's taxation with representation. So one of the first things you do is, how do you manage the resources? There are other ways you can raise that money. If I'm advising the government, the first thing I'll say is, okay, this is how much we intend to make, all right? Okay. Are there other ways we can get that? Can we get other investors to come into this country and create jobs, bring the money in, and we have people paying taxes? Those are some of the things we want to think about. And creating situations like this causes instability in the country, and investors run away because they think I can get a return on my investment. And so the best thing you can do is have a long-term goal. The United States, if they don't receive oil from any country in the world, they'll still be right now the greatest oil producing nation in the world. You know, we think about Saudi Arabia, the Alaskan oil reserve is bigger than Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
That's one thing people don't understand. The United States now is the largest natural gas producer in the world. They have all of this, and they still use oil from other countries, and they have a reserve of oil, so you don't have to deal with those things. Now, you see, the U.S. economy is doing very well right now. For the last year and a half, it has increased about almost 40%. Incredible. Incredible. Why? Because some of the restrictions have been removed, and the economy is doing very well. Investment is coming back into the country. It's called good management. So most of the people, maybe in government, I don't know the people here very well, but I'm learning. One of the things you do is, who are the people managing the different processes? Because you can do a lot of things that can change how the fuel is done. In the United States, fuel is very cheap. But other countries, if you go across to Canada, it's more expensive. The Canadians produce oil too, but it's cheaper in the United States, incredibly cheap. Most oil producing countries, fuel is still expensive. Why is that? Management. You have to have the right strategy and long-term strategies too. So looking at the issue here now, and it's causing a lot of people to wonder how good the government's managing the crisis. It doesn't have to be a crisis. It can be managed very well. And that's part of what I think they can do.
Yeah, so it comes down to management. Talk to us about your trip to Kenya and what it is that you're here for.
We have been at the tent of Testimony Church, a beautiful church across from the stadium, actually.
Okay.
It's just above the Nissan Kenya building. And we came here because we were invited for a Festival of Miracles. A Festival of Miracles is a place where Jesus said, if you have a fiesta or a festival, bring the sick, bring the hurting. When you bring them, they expect miracles. So that's what we're doing. And also we have a business conference coming this Saturday.
Okay.
We'll be teaching some strategy of how you can maximize what you do in your business, how you can turn your companies around. And we have quite a full plate to share with the people. And while we're here, we're helping, we're getting involved with different things, helping different organizations in the country to improve what to do. So, but it's been incredible.
Yeah.
The miracles we've seen so far, people coming from all different parts of the country.
You might have some people just coming into the studio after this interview. I'm just warning you.
We had people that came from Uganda. We had many crippled that have walked. In fact, the other day, an eight-year-old girl came in there very, very crippled. She had been crippled since she was born. She was walking for the first time, so beautifully walking across the whole place. And then we've seen some incredible miracles. There was a gentleman that came last Sunday. The man had not been able to walk. He had such pain. He was laying in this wheelchair, just tilting backwards. Just touching his body, he screamed in pain. before the service was over, he was walking all over the place.
Wow.
Completely healed by the love of God. And that's what I believe the Kenyans need that today. Sometimes when things are impossible with doctors, they're still possible with God.
Wow.
When you've exhausted everything, there's still Jesus. And one thing I say to people is this: the reason we've come to Kenya is to tell them that Jesus is really alive. Not just to tell them, to show them. And that what he's done in other places, he will do here too. That faith in God is not superstition. You can have real faith for real miracles. And what he's done in other places, he wants to do in Kenya. And if he did it for one, he will do it for anyone who comes.
Yeah.
That's good news.
That is great news. So how can people get involved or get in touch with you or attend your meetings?
The meetings here. I think we have some of it on social media. My host is Prophet Fred Akama. And if you can come to the Nissan, the Nissan Kenya building, so I guess that's what it's called. I have no idea where I am right now. But if you can come over there, just above it, and we are going to be in other places. You can just check the social media. You can check us out there. You can go to our website, christlove.org. You can find some of the information there too. Okay. And so you're welcome to come. It's free.
Right, christlove.org. So
yes.
Make sure you check that out. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for making time for us here on Daybreak. And those who want miracles, Neza ingia studio. That means you can come to the studio. Thank you so much.